Since having my son, my sleep is pretty inconsistent. And I woke up to nurse at like 4 this morning, and then I couldn't fall back asleep. And I feel like it's the end of the day, like it's the evening, but it's noon. As part of my Preptober, I'm trying to get a particular part of my current work in progress. Is it redundant to say current work in progress? I guess not. I'm trying to get that into a good closing spot before I open up this new project, really. And to do that, I need to finish doing a significant stress test on my entire book with my husband, stress testing everything, going, does that seem dumb? Does that make sense? Could this be better? And I'm trying to get it done as quickly as possible so that come November, that is all buttoned up. It's kind of an intense process, and every time something comes up that I really don't feel good about, it's just not right for the story, I get a little bit stressed about whether or not I'm going to be able to fix it without upending the entire story. But I had a cool thing happen in my brainstorm with my husband last night. We were going through a section and there was this piece that wasn't right, and so we were asking the hard questions. And he had this idea, then sparked another idea, and ended up filling in this really cool gap. And the coolest thing about it is it actually solved multiple problems. Some that I'd kind of was like, well, I'll just not worry about that and maybe I'll cut it out later. Instead, it ended up being an awesome segue into the next thing and into the next thing. And this is all super vague, and I know that's not really that interesting, but I just have to celebrate that I had a real big win in that. And so it makes me more hopeful that as we continue to go through this outline, I really am going to be able to stress test this thing into a really good shape. And then I'll be able to go into NaNoWriMo really bright and shiny and happy to work on another project. I haven't worked on another project in years. The closest that I've done was a short story that I wrote for a class assignment, and that was a couple of years ago, and it wasn't that good. It was whatever. But for me, this is my very first step of getting ready for Preptober, is closing up this other project. So that then when I'm done with NaNoWriMo, hopefully with a win, I will be able to step back into the project with this super clear breakdown of everything that needs to be done. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that that will feel better than if I just leave the project in this kind of awkward place where I won't know exactly the state of my brain when I left. At least that's the hope. We'll actually see how it goes. It's making me really hopeful for Nano. My husband would laugh. I left the cupboards open. I have this thing. I will sometimes will look over and I've left every single cupboard open. I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to do a quick update. So I'm trying to multitask here and make some food while I chit chat. If I can. That's the question now, isn't it? So I donated to receive Natalia Leigh's Preptober Workbook. It was a few days in and I still hadn't received it. And so I was going to reach out, but it's like, you don't want to be that person, right? That person that's like, oh, I'm so nervous, maybe it didn't come through, and you're just being impatient. So I let a few days pass because I'm like, I know that she's going through a backlog there and I'll just be patient. But I was finally like, it's been a few days, I should probably just check. And so I felt rather sheepish, but I reached out and she was totally gracious and was like, yeah, it looks like it's been sent, so check your spam. And I was just like, well, where would it have gone? Because I had definitely been checking my spam folder. But I had signed up with one of my emails that feeds into another email, and so I thought, well, I never go to that actual email to look at it because it forwards into my active email. But I realized, I should probably go check. I know that it forwards my spam, I've seen it. So I went and checked, and what I found out is that Gmail seems to be randomly selective about which spam it forwards to my other spam. So anyways, I found it there, really excited. I just got it sent in this morning to get printed, and my husband was running an errand over where I got it printed, and so he's picking it up for me, and I'm anxiously waiting. I'm very excited. I barely started into that prep work as far as actually getting anything on paper. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. It's kind of my process of how I go to sleep. My husband's super jealous. I can sit and tell myself stories and put myself to sleep at night. And he can't do that. But then again, he will go to sleep with some problem in his head that he can't solve, and he'll wake up with it solved. So between the two of us, we both seem to have strange sleep superpowers that the other person doesn't have. So we just have to have a good attitude about the fact that He can just solve problems in his sleep. He wakes up and he's like, oh, blah, 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 or he'll dream about the solution. I can't even. But I can put myself to sleep with a story. And depending on how long I like the particular story that I do, because I'll kind of cycle through little stories in my head, I can make myself fall asleep almost before the same part every single time. So it is a superpower. I'm grateful for it. It means I sleep well. Well, I did before I had a baby. But anxiously waiting for him to get back. He's going to lunch with his brother for his brother's birthday, so I just have to be patient. What's with all this patience thing? I'm done being patient. I'm not done being patient. So as you saw in the video, I printed my Preptober workbook out in black and white because I went to my budget and I asked, can I have an extra $10 to get my Preptober workbook printed in color? And it said, an extra $10? How much does it cost just to print? I said, well, $10. To which it responded, you want to double the price. Wait a minute, where did this even come from? And as it dove into its records to discover that I'd also paid for the digital workbook itself, I quickly scurried away and put my order in before it could come back and say that I couldn't do any of it at all. In other times, when I wasn't in the middle of the move, it would have been that big of a deal. But I answered the budget's cry for frugality and put my coloring skills to good work, and I was really happy with that, how it turned out. So I am trying to get some prepping done. My son just woke up. He's teething. So right now I'm working through Natalia Leigh's workbook, particularly on the creating the mood section, which I'm actually finding to be really helpful. So we're gonna see how much baby will actually let me get done. We'll see. He's having a little bit of a rough time. Good morning, friends. It is very early on Monday morning. Then I was awake, so I figured I better use some of this quiet time while I've got it. An update before I wrap up this video. I received Natalia Leigh's workbook, like I showed in the last video, and got that going, and then went silent because I realized I needed to get my rear end gear and get some stuff done. Because not only is NaNoWriMo just around the corner, but so is our cross-country move. So that really just kind of slammed into my face last week that I really needed to get things underway. So I really just focused on getting the work done. And my husband was huge in making that possible. Don't think I would have gotten as much done if he didn't really have my back. My two biggest focuses then last week was to get this outline going and to get some stuff sorted out with packing and other moving shenanigans. And I'm really happy to report it went really well. Saturday we got a ton of stuff done in the house. Our house is looking extremely bare. It was just overall really good progress. Felt really good for both of us, so that was awesome. And baby was super great through all of it. It makes me feel a lot less stressed about this move. We've also had some really awesome weather. It's here in Texas, man, it can be so suffocating. Not gonna miss that. But we've had some nice chilly days. We went on a really long walk the other day because it wasn't so hot that we wanted to die. Other than that, like I said, really dove into the outline. I started in with Natalia Leigh's Preptober Workbook as my guide. I really do think that the few things like creating the mood, brain dumping all my crazy ideas, really fleshing out my characters as in depth as she has in her character profiles, all of that I think really made a difference, so that when it was time to actually outline, I really considered a lot of things that normally I'd be very tempted to sort of be in denial about. So that all went really well. Same thing too, went through her setting pages, which is really good for me because it doesn't come very naturally for me to describe my character's surroundings when I'm writing. So it was good to have that kind of pushed into me to think of that ahead of time. And then it was time to actually move into outlining my story. But I knew from the get-go that I wanted to try using the Save the Cat Writes a Novel method. And I was really happy to discover that Save the Cat was an awesome fit. I picked it up and my husband gave me the challenge. I want you to just scream through that book. Just get it read. You know, what do you really have to get done today? And I was like, well, if I have help with this and this, we take care of that and that tomorrow or whatever, then I could probably sit and get through at least most of the book. And he's like, finish the book. And I think I might have finished everything that I wanted to finish in that book that day. But I really loved it. It was really easy to follow, to read through her descriptions of the different beats and see problems in my current work in progress, and even start to kind of get an idea of how I was going to fit some of these ideas for this new book into these different beats. So I was like, let's just dive into the outline, and then wrote the outline. It was kind of amazing. So if there's anybody else out there who struggles with their pacing or sucks at endings, I mean, I knew I sucked at endings, but reading the beat sheet and seeing how she breaks down her endings, I was like, oh, yeah, that would be better. That would be a lot better. So hooray for all of that. Next steps. This week my biggest goal with my Preptober work is to get my current beat sheet broken down into an even more in-depth outline, figure out what all the scenes are going to be, so that when I have this upcoming hiatus while we move, and I'm sure all of this will fall out of my head, I'll be able to step right back in because I'll have a detailed outline of exactly what I put together. Super excited about that. So, gonna create that outline this week. I have some deep cleaning to do. Our shower could use a good scour, and our oven has been woefully neglected. And finally, I'm going to try to get my next Preptober video put together, where I'll go a little bit more in depth about what my actual project is. I'll probably go over what my survival kit is going to be. I think it might be a little bit different than some other people's. And put together my targets for how I think I'm going to be able to make this NaNoWriMo thing happen. We'll see. So anyways, I'm gonna get this ugly mug off this camera. It's not ugly, but I feel the way I look. Gonna get some breakfast, and then I'm gonna dive right into this outline to make this happen. So really excited to be embarking on this journey with all of you. I would love to hear how your outlining is going. If you're an outliner, or if you're a pantser or somewhere in between, I would love to hear your best tip, or what makes you feel the most ready for Nano, especially if you've done it before. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.